welcome to the SOSA Coaches Call-In Show, presented by Haynes Total Healthcare. Obviously a little bit different scene tonight without Jeran Cox. He's at his son's Little League baseball game. We've got Jeff Miller filling in for him tonight, and obviously Christian Spradlin over there taking care of everything, making sure everything runs smooth. So welcome, Jeff. Obviously excited to have you on here, sitting on this side of the desk instead of calling in or sitting here interviewing you. And looking forward to getting your perspective on a few things tonight. Obviously the weather's broke finally. Easter break's over, the halfway point of baseball and softball. Just kind of maybe get your thoughts on some things that you've seen over the spring so far.
Oh, like you said, I mean, I think weather, always when we talk spring sports, the weather's the big question mark there. And like you said, hopefully today is a sign of what we've got for the next few weeks, and we don't have cancellations and things like that. So just looking forward to this back into the spring sports schedule. Yeah,
and it's crazy too that being at the halfway point. Well, Wednesday, tomorrow will be the halfway point of both baseball and softball, and it seems like spring goes probably the quickest of any of the 3 seasons, I would say. You just got through the grind of a 4-month, 5-month basketball season that just takes forever, and then you get into the spring sports season. It's 6-7 weeks, and then you're right into tournament play. So, hopefully the weather will stay nice, and we can have a good, solid finish to the season so far. Are there any either baseball or softball teams that you've seen or kind of followed on throughout the spring that maybe have surprised you to this point so far?
I've watched a few softball games and actually a few baseball games. The one team that I think kind of stood out to me, Piketon girls softball, I thought was a nice squad, a lot of young talent on that team. Mm-hmm. And maybe if you're a softball person that you expected that, but it was just something I thought, man, they're going to be good here this year and for a few years coming.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them one time, and I saw them. It was a really good game. I just felt like their whole lineup was a complete lineup all the way through. It's speed, power, and defensively they're solid as well. What about on the baseball side? Anyone there?
I just bits and pieces in the baseball. And obviously, Christian and I were talking before we went on the air. The baseball thing is it's a cancellation and a pitching question.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you start looking at your schedule and you've got 5 games in that week, it's like, do I have enough arms to even get through the end of the week? So
right. And so far this season, I don't know if anyone's gotten through that due to Mother Nature winning some of those days where they've had to expend their pitching all throughout the 5 games or whatever in a week. I think we'll take a really quick break right here, and when we come back, we're going to have the Adena baseball program in here, and we'll have Coach Seth McGuire in when we get back. All right, welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Show, presented by Haynes Total Healthcare. We're now joining us, we have Adena baseball coach Seth McGuire. Welcome, Coach. As we were alluded to just before you came on, kind of talking about, the weather always plays a factor, and it's kind of, hopefully it's, we've seen the worst of it now, and you guys are able to get some consistency going in the second half of this season. Kind of just talk about your first half of the season and how it's gone so far.
Yeah, so the first half of the season for us has been a little bit up and down. Our pitching and defense has always consistently been there. I believe that we have 4 of the top arms in the SVC. Our top 4 can't really be touched. But right now we're just having a little bit of trouble, hitting the baseball. Unfortunately, working to, small ball a little bit, produce runs any way that we can. But, we did a lot of tee work today. Couple different drills that we've had in the past that we brought back that these guys were probably a little thrown off by, that we picked up from a coach down at Rio Grande a couple of years ago when I was at 757, and hopefully that'll spark things tomorrow at Westfall.
Yeah, so you have a day off after a game last night, and then it's such a nice day to be able to come off of a game like last night and be able to get outside for a long period of time. Obviously you always, especially the players, they always want to be playing games, but to be able to have a day like today had to be beneficial for you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be huge for us, I think, going forward. We've really struggled at the plate last 3 games specifically. Unfortunately, I've not been able to score a run in our last 3 games, faced 3 really good arms. We just went back to basics, and hopefully, our guys will buy in with what we were teaching today, and we'll be able to, produce the results on the field tomorrow.
Yeah. So you say you're struggling at the plate, is it, or you're just not putting the ball in play, hitting it right at them, just not able to consistently string things together?
Yeah. Right now it's a consistency thing, really. If we do barrel the baseball, it's usually right at somebody, unfortunately. And then runners in scoring position kind of been struggling at the plate a little bit. Depending on the arm, most of the time we don't strike out a lot, but it's just one of those things with baseball. Even when you're barreling the baseball, sometimes you're hitting it right at somebody. Defense. We've played some pretty good defensive teams. They're just making plays as well. So we just have to find a way to produce and score runs any way that we can. Whether we do that, hitting gap to gap, or if we're small balling, laying down safety squeezes, hitting around, butting around, anything like that. We just got to find ways to produce runs.
You mentioned small ball a couple different times. I feel like you've had too many bus rides with Coach Jadwin and the girls softball team. But no, in all honesty, if you're struggling, it's sometimes you have to go back to something like that. It's just baseball's a funny game. You guys, didn't get off to the start you wanted. Obviously, you talked about hitting the ball right at people. That could very easily change the second half of the season.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping to do. And we just keep telling these guys, trust the process. That's what you have to do with baseball. Sometimes it's one sport where you can do everything correctly every time you're at the plate, and you could still fail more times than you're going to succeed. It's the only sport where 350, 400 is a good average to have. If your quarterback's only completing 35 to 40% of his passes, it's probably not a very good quarterback. But if you're 3-hole, 4-hole, or both in the 350, 400 range, they're pretty solid players.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and Coach, you made a good point when you talked about your pitching staff. You feel pretty good with 3-4 arms. Yeah. You know what I mean? So obviously, like you said, if the bats get going, you know how it is. Once you get that one game where you explode, and then kind of ride that out.
Yeah.
So
that's what we're waiting on to happen. We just keep telling the guys that eventually, we're going to catch fire. We've been hitting it right at somebody too much for it to not eventually fall our way, right? We'll eventually find the green on the baseball field instead of somebody's glove.
So you mentioned we talked earlier, one more game left tomorrow at Westfall or at home or away?
We're at Westfall.
At Westfall. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know. Obviously they played last night, so you guys played last night. So when you guys go into a week and just talking about pitching, do you try to throw the same guys Monday, Friday, or do you wait and look at the week and see what's coming up, depending on what arms you want to run out there twice or once a week?
Yeah, so our 1 and 2, depending on how the week falls, are going to throw either Monday, Friday, or that Wednesday as well. So like this week, Austin threw yesterday on Monday. He's going to throw Friday. We'll throw number 2, Colton Garrison, on Wednesday. And then the following week, Colton will throw Monday.
Yep.
And then plan on throwing him in relief Friday.
So you basically do it on that rotation as opposed to looking at the week saying we have a better matchup this way, or the second round through, try to switch it up and so that teams aren't seeing the same guy. How does that work?
We do that sometimes, but honestly, when it comes to our top two arms, I think Austin and Colton can beat anybody in the league. It doesn't really matter if they've seen them one time beforehand or not. I think they throw 7 strong innings and we're able to get 3 to 4 runs. They're not going to beat us.
Right.
So it just really depends on the week. Last year we did a little bit more of kind of the strategic side of things, and it actually came back and bit us in the butt a couple times. So I've kind of steered away from that a little bit and have started relying just on our top guys to go and win us ball games.
Yeah, sometimes when especially when they get older, you look at them and you don't go away from who you are. This is who we are. This is who we're going to run out there. It's going to be our best. If you beat it, tip your hat to them. And if you don't, then your guys were definitely good enough. I mean, I think a lot of times in coaching, sometimes you worry too much about the other team instead of your team, and just trusting your team to be, hey, our guys are pretty good, and it really is irrelevant what the other team does. We're gonna put ours out there. Basically, we're gonna lay it on the line and just see what happens. Yeah,
that's kind of the strategy that we've kind of adopted more this year. Like I said, when our top two arms are on the bump, I think we can beat anybody in the state. When our defense is playing well, and like I said, 3 to 4 runs, and we can win any ball game in the SVC, in my opinion.
Has the move to Ross County Park, do you think that's played a role in it at all? Or
I mean, a little bit. It's got to play a little bit of a mental factor. We talked about it the first day of practice. We kind of said, hey, this is the situation we're in. We all know it's not an ideal situation for us, but there's either one of 2 things we can do. We can either talk about it now, squash it, and then just put it behind us, or we can continue to complain about it the rest of the year, and that's just going to get us nowhere. So,
right.
Our guys have done a good job of just, squashing that and realizing, like, this is our home field for the year. This is where we have to defend.
Kind of just accepting that.
Accepting
it
the situation.
A little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully, we'll get some more wins out there. But it has been an adjustment, but it's not an excuse for baseball games.
How many years have you been at Adena, Coach?
This is actually my 3rd year.
Third year? Yeah. Kind of explain how you ended up at Adena, if you will.
Yeah, so I was actually coaching a summer ball game for the travel team that I coach in Columbus. We were scrimmaging a 7-5-7 team. Austin McGill's dad was there. His other son David was playing. After the game, we kind of talked a little bit because I had David the previous year or 2 at 7-5-7. And he kind of just said, hey, Paul Thomas isn't coming back. The baseball job's open. You should put in for it. I was living in Columbus at the time. I was coaching at Worthington Kilbourne. I was the infield and JVA head coach. And it was just one of those things where, I'll put my name in, interview, see what happens. Was fortunate enough for them to pick me to lead the program, and, just been going with it from there.
Yeah, obviously Adena baseball, storied program, a lot of tradition. And I just heard you mention something there. You said JVA, right? Yeah. So how many baseball teams at the high school level does someone like Worthington Kilbourne have in the OCC?
3 usually.
3.
So you got your full varsity, then you got a JVA, and then a JVB or freshman team, depending on where you're at. Like we just played Kilbourne on Friday actually, and they brought down 27 guys, and that was just their varsity and JVA. They have a whole other team left, and when you have 500, 600 kids in class, you're able to do that.
Right.
It's one of the benefits of being in the OCC for them. We obviously don't have the luxury of somewhere like Worthington Kilbourne, like an Olentangy Orange, where Orange has over 110, 120 kids try out a year, so they cut about 50 to 60 players a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost like they have, the varsity team's the major league team, and you have triple A, double A below them. It really is.
And that's how it is. And we always, believed in a fluid roster at Kilbourne. So just because you're varsity, just because you're JVA, that doesn't mean you're designated there for the rest of the year.
Right.
If there were guys struggling on the varsity level, they were sent down to JVA to get at bats, get reps, and if I had someone that was, swinging the bat really well or throwing really well, they would have to varsity for the day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Life of a JV coach there.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming in, talking to us, sharing a little bit about your program. Wish you guys the best of luck. And, with this weather changing, hopefully the bats will wake up a little bit for you. But, Coach, you got anything else?
No, it's good luck to back half of this season.
Appreciate
like
you
Coach
guys.
said, hopefully those sticks start warming up and
They're
get some
going to
W's.
tomorrow. They're going to tomorrow. I feel
Well,
it.
we appreciate it again. We'll take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with senior baseball players Austin McGill and Christian Heath from the Adena Warriors. Welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Call-In Shows, presented by Haynes Total Healthcare. We're joined now by two seniors, Austin McGill and Christian Heath of the Adena baseball team. Welcome, guys. So we just talked to Coach a little bit, and he's kind of gave us the rundown on the first half of your season. Kind of talk about how quickly it's gone, especially from a senior's point of view, and kind of what you're looking forward to do in the second half of it.
Well, it's gone by pretty fast, but
Yeah, you're good. Just try talking to the mic. Go ahead.
well,
It's just like, as a senior, like whenever you start the season and you're just practicing, and then the first game hits. After that first game hits, it flies. I mean, it flies right by because you're playing 3-4 games a week, at least 3 games a week, and then all of a sudden you're playing your first half of the SVC game.
Right.
Like tomorrow's our last
First
team.
round.
Yeah. So it's like, then you gotta go back through and face everybody again. It flies by, especially senior year.
Yeah, and I think the second half of the season, you guys will. I think it'll go faster. I don't want to tell you that, but I'm pretty sure it will. Because what happens then is you get through that second half of the season, and then you're faced with the tournament, which then when you go into that, one loss and it's over with. So you put so much time into it for it to go by so quickly. I think that's why it's really important to, even though it's going by fast, you want to slow down and just enjoy all the moments. I know a lot of times when you were talking about it just a second ago about preseason practice, well, you know what, that was the fourth one you've been through, that you know what it's like, and you're thinking, man, this is dragging on. Well, there's a reason, because you've done it for 4 years. But I just really think it's important, especially the second half for you guys, just slow down, enjoy it, get the most of it. And I think good things are going to happen for you guys. Talking with Coach there, it sounds like you guys are doing the right things. You just need a couple breaks, and talk about it from a senior's point of view. Now that it's your last go around, how you've kind of just handled this season and the guys underneath of you.
Well, as a senior, I want to really bring up the freshmen. Being a good upperclassman, bring the team together, just have a lot more fun. That's about it.
I mean, we got 3 freshmen who are getting a lot of varsity time, and then we got a couple sophomores. So we're a young team. So like as the older guys on the team, kind of the captains, you gotta lead it through. Like make sure practice is running smoothly. It's not just like a game thing. You have to be a leader all the time, because it like I said, those younger guys don't know how it is. It's completely different junior high to varsity. Yeah. And then coming up your freshman year, we got 3 guys are starting.
Right.
3 freshmen are starting.
And you guys aren't just running them out there because you have to have warm bodies. You guys are expecting those guys to produce, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just talked about practice. Kind of talk how you guys, played last night, have a beautiful day outside to finally get to a nice day of practice. What was kind of your mindset going into that practice, and how did that practice run today?
Well, obviously we like playing games. We're players. We like playing games, but sometimes 3, 4 games a week. It's nice to just have a day to work on your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like hitting wise, like Coach was saying, we've been struggling. Like as a team, we've been struggling. It's not even like striking out. We're just hitting the ball to people, rolling over. We got a lot of guys just hitting ground balls. So, sitting on a tee for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. There's nothing you can do but get better from that.
Right.
And if you get 3 at-bats a game, that's not going to – it'll help, but it's not going to help you that much. It's just getting rep after rep after rep. So coming to a practice, it's important.
Yep. Coach, can you kind of talk about that from a girls' basketball point of view where, 22 games, once that season starts, you don't have a lot of time to work on your skills anymore. It's preparing for the next game. So
with that, and the thing I was thinking as you guys were kind of mentioning that is every once in a while, man, it's nice just to step away from the game a little bit. Like when things aren't going your way, it's like let's step away. Whether we said earlier, baseball season, you can turn around and look like, okay, we've got a game Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're in one of those slumps or whatever, things aren't going the right way, it's like let's get a good practice in. And obviously, Coach talked about your practice today. So hopefully, that's something that snaps you guys out of a little bit of slump and turns it around starting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of tomorrow, what's your guys' kind of mindset going into that game at Westfall? Usually a tough place to play. It seems like it could be nice anywhere else in the world, but when you go to Westfall to play baseball,
it's gonna be windy.
It's always windy.
You just want the wind to blow the right way when you're up there. That's all I know. So just kind of talk about your mindset going into the last game, the first round, and moving forward the second half of the season.
Well, last year we went up there and you said talking about the wind, one of our guys hit a pop fly to third base. It seemed like it was going to be win over the fence. So it's like, but no, you got to go into every game. It's a winnable game. Every single game is a winnable game, no matter what. It's 60 feet 6 inches. You got to run 90 feet to first base. So, and we have the arms to get through any of our games. Like Coach was saying, we have more pitching this year than we have the last 3. Mm-hmm. We aren't worried about walks anymore. Our guys are throwing strikes. So, it's a winnable game. We need to pull it out. We got to get this start a win streak, because we're, like he said, we're slumping. We got to get out of that slump. We just got to.
So you guys play Wednesday, and then Friday it starts the second round of the league. Do you guys have a non-league game Thursday or no?
We do not this week. I don't think so. I think we get a practice on Thursday.
So kind of a nice week, actually.
Yeah.
What division are you guys this year as far as baseball and the tournament and stuff?
D6. We're D6 this year.
Again, I really feel like our conference. And I think going to this 7 divisions is going to show the depth of our conference. and I've said this to a couple of different softball coaches as well. When we go to D7, seven divisions, you know, and the SVC can spread themselves out a little bit and not beating up on each other in the tournament, I really think that, you know, you guys get hot at the right time here going toward the tournament in Division 6. You have a real chance, and then when the tournament comes around, pitching is everything. And the ability you guys are going to have to be able to run out some solid arms is going to be beneficial, especially when you guys start hitting the ball. But enough kind of about just strictly this season, how it's been going. As a 4-year baseball players, guys, I want both of you to give me your most memorable moment over those last 4 years as a baseball player at Adena.
Really, probably just going out to dinner with the guys after a baseball game.
I mean, that's important.
Just that.
What about you?
Just team camaraderie is nice. I got a specific the baseball game against Huntington last year. It was a one hitter, 0-1. We won. I was on the mound, so it was pretty nice.
One hit shutout.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But talking about what you just said, you know, every now and then, as old as I am, when I get together with my old teammates, and I know Coach will attest to this too, those are the times, like the games and all that are important, and you want to win all of them, believe me, because it's a lot more fun to get together after you've won a bunch of games. But when we get together, the times that we talk about now are the times on the bus, the times in the dugout, you know, the times away from the game. But the game is what brought you to those guys. But those are the times that you really, you know, you look back and you laugh on and you really remember fondly. So I think that's a great point that you just made. Coach, you want to talk about that?
No, and it is. It's something, you know, that like Coach said, in 15, 20 years, I mean, you're married, you got kids, and you get together, those are going to be things you talk about. I mean, you're going to talk about those post-game meals and, you know, when someone did something silly during the game, you know what I mean, stuff like that. So
baseball in general is kind of a game with, you know, a lot of different superstitions and things like that. Either of you guys superstitious at all?
Yeah, I always got to do the same warm-up routine. Got to catch the ball, got to walk back, got to do all that. Got a big thing that goes into it.
Before every inning, I throw the same pitch sequence: fastball, curveball, slider, change.
Gotcha.
Fastball.
End it with fastball.
Yeah, every time.
Nothing else? Strange socks, chew the same gum, stand in the same place in the dugout? None of that? Not too bad, huh? That's good.
don't wash your hat, right? Like make sure that
my hat falls off every time. Just about every time I throw a pitch.
I might like switch a bat or something if I'm doing bad.
there you go.
Switch it up.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
the bat's fault. Something.
Yeah.
Walks up with a different bat every at bat.
Yeah.
What about walk-up music? You guys have walk-up music? That's
We
like a
don't.
thing now.
I know,
Like
we
all of a
Tried to
sudden.
do it, but
Yeah, we don't got it. We don't got it this
No
year.
walk-up music?
No.
If you did, what would your songs be?
that's too hard. I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea.
get-
No idea.
What about you, Coach? You got a walk-up
You
song?
know what? I don't think I do.
Let's take us back to 1991.
Gosh.
What your walk-up song would have
Got to
been?
be some kind of hair band, right? Like some kind of Motley Crue, Def Leppard,
Something
something
like
like
that,
that. You know
maybe.
what I mean?
Sandman.
There you go. A little
That's a good one.
Metallica. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right, guys. Well, obviously, we appreciate you guys coming in.
Good to be
You know,
here.
wish you guys nothing but the best the rest of the season and into the postseason. Hopefully, you guys can make some noise and represent the SVC really well, which I think you guys can do. So, appreciate you guys for coming in.
Yep.
Yeah, good
Appreciate
luck,
it.
guys.
Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Show, sponsored by Haynes Total Healthcare. We're kind of switching it up here a little bit. We're now joined by Shasta Scarberry, who is the head coach for the Yunyota girls lacrosse team, which is in its first season of existence. So welcome,
Yes.
Shasta.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So kind of just talk to us a little bit about how lacrosse became a sport at Yunyota.
Okay. Well, I will be honest with you. It was my daughter's dream. She saw it on TikTok and she thought it looked cool. This was probably about 2 years ago when she was middle school, and her friend actually looked into playing with Chillicothe because they do have a team and they've had one for a couple years, but now they're sanctioned. So when they found out that they were not able to play with Chillicothe, they looked at me and said, "What are we going to do?" And the loving mother I am, I said, "Let me put this together for you." But I honestly did not think it was ever going to happen. So it took a lot of obviously talking with the school, but also I was looking really hard to find somebody to help me because I'm not that athletic. And I'm more of a cheer coach than I am a lacrosse coach, but I've been able to get some players from Chillicothe who were out of school to come help. Coach Hawk has been an amazing person helping us learn the game and kind of like put together pieces and what do I need to make this happen. And then John Kepler was the one who finally said, "I will be with you there all the way. I will help with the practices, help with the gameplay." And I said, "All right, I'll do the rest." So here we are. We have 2 games left in our season, and we're going to make this happen.
So a year and a half or so to put it all together, and then
Yeah.
and then here it is. So
Yeah.
what would you say has been maybe the biggest challenge and the biggest reward so far in the first season of it?
Gotcha. Oh my goodness. The biggest challenge is definitely we have a lot of awesome athletes on our team, but they are also involved in other sports.
Right.
So just trying to find that, when can we all practice together? So just so you guys kind of really understand, even our biggest challenge as a team is we have 13 players. One girl literally started 2 weeks ago, and she is now also out. She also just got injured. So I'm down. I have 12 girls who can play, and it takes 12 girls to play the game. So not just that, when all 12 girls can't come to practice, it's really hard to learn defense and offense. And so just having that moment with the girls, but man, when it comes together, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. I will say these girls have come together as a family. They've come together to cheer each other on. Friendships have been created. And to me, that is the most rewarding part, just seeing these girls have the best time and create new friendships.
Right. I've been out to a couple practices and just seeing the different, what do I want to say, walks of life
Yeah.
that are on this lacrosse team. It is really cool because you're like, if they didn't have this, they wouldn't have formed those friendships. They just because they don't put themselves in the common areas that they would in order to do it. So I say it all the time. Sports and athletics and extracurriculars are huge, and not only to allow kids to compete, but what it forms is lifelong friendships, and I think that's really cool and an amazing thing. So with year one almost wrapped up. Looking at the future, what's a few things maybe that you want to try to do to increase maybe interest in the program?
Yeah, so this summer and like we did last summer, we'll have open fields all summer, and we're going to open it to middle schoolers. So to kind of create that excitement at that younger age, but getting the sticks in their hands before they get to high school. So we're really going to be pushing that at the end of the school year to remind the middle schoolers to come on out this summer, even if they don't know if they're going to play or not, but just to practice the sport and play. We are also going to, looks like, have a home field opportunity for next year, and that's one of our main goals as a team, is if we can get that home field opportunity, I think the students will also start getting more engaged and make it feel like a true sport at our school.
So I want to talk to you about that for just a second, because I was talking to a couple of your players today, They said one of the things they struggled with Friday, when it was actually beautiful out, perfect weather,
Yes.
and it was at Chillicothe, and there were fans there. So
Yes.
that was
It threw them for a loop. It really did. I know. Okay. But you had to understand, again, these are girls from all different walks of
Yep.
life. I mean, we have one girl who actually is homeschooled, one girl from RCCA, and then all of a sudden, all these games have been raining, cold, sleet, all the
windy,
above.
nothing good
Yes.
weather-wise.
And then you just have the parents who show up to these games that are about an hour away. And then all of a sudden we have somewhat home field at Chillicothe, and the fans come out and they are just, everybody was so nervous. I mean, I think even one of the girls goes, my entire family is here. Like, what are we going to do? So, yeah, I think they're just not used to that excitement that surrounded our sport.
Yeah, I
and
think-
it got them a little nervous.
Blake was telling me that there was maybe even kind of a little student section there. There was a group
Oh,
of
yeah.
kids,
Oh, yeah.
high school kids that were in attendance. So
Oh, yeah.
I
I
think-
heard them hackling the whole time.
Yeah, I think one of the things you need to do before next year, is use the resource to your right and go in that gym and find some of those basketball players and push them toward the lacrosse field, because there's several of them that come to my mind that aren't doing anything this spring that I think would benefit, and I think they'd have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I've been out to 2 practices and just watching how it plays and how it's played out. Like I don't see how it couldn't be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the one thing, Shasta, that I was going to mention, you said, like, as far as your games, it's like an hour away. That's got to be something fairly challenging, too, is the fact that it's Chillicothe, Yunyota, and then
Right.
outside of that, how far are you guys having to travel, and who are you playing?
Yeah, so right now, this season we play Grove City, which is up in Columbus, obviously, Carroll High School in Dayton. We also went to Jonathan Alder at the beginning of the season. We try to take notes. Actually, this was one of the things Coach Hawk really helped us with, is to find, and actually Mr. Combs, to find teams that were on the JV level where we could be competitive,
Right.
learn from them, but also at the same time have the patience and not get beat up.
Right, right.
So we're really hoping next year to broaden that a little bit. But yeah, really we're looking at Columbus and Dayton as our main sources. I know there's teams down in West Virginia and really good teams down in Cincinnati. Hopefully that'll be, down the road
Right.
opportunity. But yeah, right now we're just trying to stay where it's feasible for parents to actually drive their kids there, and for us to get these games in when we can.
Well, I think that it's awesome. I think it's a great thing. I think anytime that we can have a growth mindset when it's dealing with anything, who would have ever thought that Yunyota High School would have a lacrosse team? That's just unheard of. But you took the chance. Your busy schedule, and I know both your daughters, competitive cheer, travel volleyball in the fall. So it's like, we always try to find time, obviously when your kid looks at you and says, hey, I want to do this, you find a way to do it for them.
Yes.
So I think hats off to you for doing that. And I really do think the program is just going to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I think once more kids familiarize themselves with it and understand it, I think that, I just think it's going to take off. And I think it's just great to have another option, especially for a school our size. We should have that option for kids to be able to do that.
Yep.
So
Right.
happy for you. Thankful that you were able to do that, and appreciate you coming in to talk to us tonight. And we'll talk to a couple of your players here in a second. But
Right.
good luck the
Yeah.
rest of the way. Two
Thank
more
you.
games. When are those games?
April 29th, we play against Chillicothe again.
Okay.
And then our very last game will be May 2nd, which is a Friday. And we actually, go to, it's not on top of my head, but if you follow us on our Facebook page,
It
our
doesn't matter.
schedule's there.
Listen, it doesn't matter. That's
Right.
2 games away.
Yeah.
We're focused only on
Next
our next
game.
opponent.
Yes, we
game.
are.
So
we are. We're
that's
looking
good.
at
That's a
bettering
good way to
ourselves
think.
for the Chillicothe game. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming in, and we
Yeah.
appreciate you, and good luck the rest of the way.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Show, presented by Haynes Total Healthcare. We are now joined by Ellie DePoy, Layla Scarberry, and Kelty Kepler of the Yunyota lacrosse team. So welcome, ladies. Kind of just talk to us about this whole experience of lacrosse at Yunyota. Your coach just talked a little bit about how it came to be, but talk about it from your guys' point of view of basically doing something that you've never done before.
Well, it was first introduced on the announcements, and like from the start, I was like, this sounds fun. I saw it at Chillicothe, and it looked fun, but we knew nothing about it. But just from the start, it's been very hard to learn a new sport, especially when you're playing teams who's been playing it for years. There's a lot of rules, and it's kind of hard to get the grasp of something, especially I'm a junior, so
Right. So, yeah.
coming into any sport that late can be difficult.
What sport would you guys compare it to? Or is it like there are several sports that it compares to?
I'd say it's like a lot like soccer or basketball or hockey. It's kind of like a mix of like a lot of sports, but there's a lot of running, so it's just
Yeah.
What would you guys say has been the biggest challenge? Just not being familiar with how the game works, or actually the fundamentals of it? Like, what's probably presented the toughest thing for you guys to pick up on?
I'd say definitely just like learning the game and learning all the rules, and then during games we have like the refs explain like a call if we don't know what it is. But yeah, definitely just like learning the game and like learning all.
You know, the one thing, guys, I was thinking is in most sports, if you have no knowledge and you want to learn it, you can get on TV and watch. Like, is that something you guys, are you able to find lacrosse games to watch, or, how can you increase your knowledge as far as that's concerned?
Mainly YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Dick's Sporting Goods actually has like a sports page where they post a lot of like informational things, and like Shasta will post it or send it to us and we'll check it out, and that's our main way of watching it.
To me at times it's like mind-boggling to think about you guys playing a sport that you really had no knowledge of, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're on the lacrosse team and let's do this from scratch.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
Well, like I get all of that. What would you say has probably been, or maybe you've surprised yourself with that you didn't think you could do, or maybe you had no idea that you could do just coming into this?
I think probably just like when we actually got out there in our first game at Jonathan Older, it was amazing to see it like finally come together. Cause like I didn't know if we were gonna have a team for a while. Like I went to all the summer stuff. Like I've been with like Shasta kind of from the start, so that was probably the best like memory, and like that was definitely the part where I was like, wow, like I didn't think this was gonna happen, and it was amazing to see it all come together.
What was it like when Yunyota lacrosse scored like their first goal? Was it like you guys everyone flip out?
Yeah, I think Kelty scored it.
yeah, we were all pretty hyped. It was like it was a fun moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So,
were so excited.
first goal in Yunyota lacrosse history, you're in the record books.
Yep, you're in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what I was saying.
You're in there forever.
That's what I said.
Yes, awesome. So you guys have talked a couple different times about like the rules and understanding the rules, and like what are some things that just like the common person just watching it wouldn't know, like a rule that like, is there offsides like there is in soccer, or like I don't know all the rules, so
I feel like it was like difficult for us to learn like whenever there's like fouls and stuff and there's like penalty shots, like we didn't know how to line up, and it was just like confusing at first, or like we didn't know like whenever it's out of bounds, like you had to run in and take the ball. So it's kind of confusing because I feel like it's way different than basketball. So normal people that are watching, they'd probably be like, what's going on?
So if the ball goes out of bounds, let's say I'm on the other team and I throw it out of bounds, how do you guys put it back inbound?
So the closest team that's to the ball when it's out of bounds gets the ball.
Oh. So even if I throw it out of bounds and
Yeah.
my teammate's closer, we still keep the ball?
Mhm.
And you just scoop it up and run it in?
Yeah.
Or do you have to throw it in?
You can scoop it up and run it in.
Nice.
You have to run it in before you pass it.
Learn
Oh.
something.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
No.
It's not like basketball.
Can you imagine basketball just
Describe
Yeah.
the ball.
just run it in, start dribbling,
Well,
start playing?
I mean, the little amount of lacrosse I've watched, what's the deal with, like, can you hit people with the stick, or, and you know what I mean, like, what is that?
Technically no, but it definitely still happens.
Okay.
So you have to kind of like, you're supposed to hold your stick more like vertical instead of completely sideways. So you can kind of like put your stick on them and follow them around, but you can't just hit a person with a stick. In men's lacrosse, you can.
So that's why men wear like the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And you guys, like, obviously you're the goalie, so you're all armored up, right? What equipment do you guys wear?
We wear like a face guard that protects like our eyes, and then we have like a mouth guard. And yeah, I feel like sometimes we should have pads too, though.
But that's it.
Yeah.
That ball's hard. What if it hits you in the head?
It hurts a lot.
Layla's done that to me a few times at practice.
You know,
I mean,
I think I'm
Have
sitting
you
there-
ever seen a lacrosse ball?
Well, yeah, I know they use it for like exercises to roll out like, I mean,
Yeah, it's
tight
solid,
muscles
and they don't
stuff.
have anything on their heads. So, like, I'm wondering, like,
You can wear a helmet. Some girls
Oh.
do, but
man, I think
I'm
I'd wear a
thinking,
helmet.
and I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but I'm thinking like before the end of the school year, let's have like a staff lacrosse game.
That would be so
yes,
fun.
instead of dodgeball or volleyball,
Yes.
let's do lacrosse.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get some interest. You guys can laugh at the
That's a
staff.
great idea, dude. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We could. You think we could pull that off?
I mean, you pulled off an entire like organization.
Yeah.
You can throw together.
Yeah,
one
you
game,
put
right?
together a whole. All we can do is.
I'm going to play with the girls, though.
Okay.
I'm still their coach.
Yeah,
Against
she
all
gets-
the teachers.
We want Layla, or we want Shasta.
I'm in.
I'm in. I am wearing pads though.
We've got football shoulder pads. We'll put them on. Helmet. We're showing up with helmets on.
Yeah.
You guys ain't hitting me in the head.
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's you threw it out there.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna have to meet tomorrow and figure that out.
We'll have to check the
Now, is
insurance
this gonna be-
liability and stuff on that.
I think this should be a high school event
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
that's where we need.
We need to also
Maybe
be-
include the 8th graders because
They can watch.
they're going to be, I think it should be school 7 through 12, but the high school staff. Well, then I'm out, so I can't play. It's middle school. Not any staff can
whatever.
play.
You're
Any
just
staff
scared,
can
just
play.
say it.
Any staff can play.
We know you're scared. It's fine.
I'm just trying to plan this. I'm
Yeah.
trying to plan this.
He just weaseled his way right out of that.
No,
game.
Yeah,
I'm in.
whatever you
I'm
say.
in because I think it
Whatever.
looks fun.
No,
I think it looks fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be
I'm
fun.
just not playing goalie.
No. Can we borrow
Jeff's
the goalie?
goalie.
Well, the goalie doesn't run much, right?
No,
No.
they don't.
I'll play goalie.
All right, so let's see. Where do I want to go with this? We've got this. I got to make some notes of this. We're gonna have a staff game. All right. So 2 games left. What's maybe some of the biggest improvements that you've seen from all the way back to the summer until now?
I'd say definitely like our teamwork and like learning that like we can throw the ball to other people and like to move it down the field.
Mhm.
And then yeah, just basically bonding and like getting used to like how other people play and how their styles are and just yeah.
What about you two?
I say like everyone finding what they're good at and like finding positions has helped us a lot. And like we didn't know who was going to be goalie until like a month or
How
two
did you
ago.
become the goalie?
So,
No one wanted to do it. So and
No,
I heard
no,
you don't have
no.
to run.
She didn't want to
she
run.
didn't want to run.
She didn't want to
She
run.
didn't wanna
That was
run.
it.
I heard you didn't have to run and no one else wanted to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll
Okay,
do
nobody
it.
else wanted to do it.
No one else wanted to do it.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Okay.
like I was at practice the other day and you got hit with that ball hard. Like
Yeah.
you still
Oh, yeah,
you
I've-
still want to do that?
I have bruises all over my body, but like honestly, it hurts for like a second.
Okay.
And then it's like, oh.
What about you, Kelty?
I feel like just us bonding like as a team and just like even just becoming like friends and like getting to know each other more. Like I feel like that should even just helped us. Like I don't know in games,
Gotcha. So we know Layla's the goalie. What about you two? What position do you guys play?
midfield.
yeah, we're both midfield.
Okay, so explain that to everyone out there. That it's similar to a soccer midfielder where you're on offense some and you can play defense as well.
Yeah. So it's like the person, if you see someone like just running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, that's us. So we go
It's
play
not you.
defense.
Not me.
Not Layla. And then we also go play offense. So it's like a split equal amount of defense and offense for
Okay.
midfield.
So explain to myself and Coach Miller and everyone else watching how the formation of a lacrosse team. Like how many defenders, how many midfielders, how many attackers are on the field, and then you obviously have one goalie. How does that work?
So it's 4 defenders and then 3 midfielders and 4 attackers, and then you have your goalie.
Okay. Is the defenders, are they only allowed to go on in a certain part of the field?
Yeah.
And same thing with the attackers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're getting our
Yeah,
Getting
we're
our
putting
lineup
together a
ready.
game plan.
getting our lineup ready. All right. Well, girls, obviously, I'm excited for you. Happy that you guys are able to do this. Happy that you guys are kind of like, the leaders and the ones that started and had the courage to let's go do this. And you guys have put the time in. And I really believe that it is a sport that's going to continue to grow. And we look forward to, these next 2 games you guys have and then following you guys into next season and hopefully more games, home games, and more participation from people in the school. Is there anything that you guys want to say to the audience out there or the people maybe in our own school that in terms of the lacrosse program?
Just come out this summer. I
Join.
mean, yeah.
It's
Why
really
not try
fun.
something new, I mean, it's a
It's
new
really
team.
fun. We're all new at
Yeah.
it, so like it doesn't matter if you're bad at it. Like we're all bad.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah, we're all new,
We're all still
so.
learning.
Everyone's starting from scratch, right?
Yes. And come to our game next Tuesday, the 29th.
At Chillicothe.
6 p.m. Pull up.
Wait. Now, I talked earlier about this. Are you guys going to be able to, you'll be used to the fans there this time?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. I think we're not used because we literally had 5 fans at all of our games. So when we actually had people show up, it was this is weird. We were not used to it at all.
But the thing is, you guys all play other sports.
Yeah.
So,
This one's just different.
okay. All right. Well, again, thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate it. And, we look forward to following you guys and seeing the success of the lacrosse program growing at Yunyota. So thank you.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Yep.
Thank you.
welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Show, sponsored by Haynes Total Healthcare. We are now joined by, legendary Waverly tennis coach, Matt Morrison. Former tennis coach at Yunyota, Brandon Haynes, told me not to give you a whole lot of credit, but I'm going against what he's saying, and we're going to let you have the show. Obviously tonight a little bit different. Had baseball, which a lot of people obviously know about spring sports, but and when you talk about spring sports, had a lacrosse team in here, and now we're fortunate to have Waverly Tennis in here to kind of represent the tennis world and talk a little about tennis with us. So welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
So, how many years have you been at Waverly?
I've been at coaching. This is 31 seasons.
Wow.
But I picked up the girls team about 8 years ago too. So I've been coaching boys since 2003.
And boys are spring, girls are fall,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Can you kind of explain that to us? Because I know sometimes can the girls play in the spring and then also play on the boys team? How does that work?
Yeah, I think we get a lot of girl volleyball players and things that can't play girls tennis in the fall that play in the spring. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So they couldn't play girls tennis in the spring and play girls tennis in the
right, they cannot do that.
you can only play
Right,
one.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So, all right, Coach. Obviously, thanks for being here. Kind of just talk to us a little bit about your season, how it's gone so far.
It's gone well. We've had a good thing going for a while, and we're closing in on hopefully another conference title pretty soon. We got about 2 weeks of season left before tournaments start. Got a good group of guys. Just trying to carry on a tradition. It's been hot for a while, so we're trying to keep it going. So.
Yeah, you talk about the tradition of Waverly tennis. Obviously, your son Penn you've played all 4 years there. Now playing collegiately, right at Cedarville, I believe. Can you kind of just update everyone on his career so far at the collegiate level?
Yeah, he's doing well. Going back to high school, he's still the only guy from this area who has gone to state and won matches, and he did that all 3 times he went, except for the COVID year we got.
Oh, so he lost one year.
Sophomore year got taken, but
yeah, that's unfortunate.
He's doing well. He plays 3-4 singles in college, 1 doubles.
Okay.
That's the nice thing about college. They can
Play
do
both.
Yeah, it's neat. It's been fun watching that.
So when you say that, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with how that works. Does he do that in the same day? Will he play a singles match and then also a doubles match in the same?
Yeah. So high school, you go out and you play 3 singles matches and 2 doubles matches, best of 5, and then college is 6 singles matches, and it gets a little complicated. They changed the rule a few years ago. So you play. You'll go out and play 3 doubles sets. So you got a 1 doubles team, 2 doubles, and 3. And then whichever team wins 2 out of 3, wins 1 point for the overall match.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So then if your singles come down to 3, you win 3, I win 3, then whoever won the doubles point wins.
So kind of tiebreaker then.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, we've talked earlier on the show, and we've talked every show in the spring about the weather. How does that impact tennis in the spring?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Because we can't play in any rain. I mean, if it's not just barely some little tiny drizzle, you got to cancel. The court gets slick fast. Of course, the balls they soak up the water and they're not bouncing. And then wind is just horrendous. I mean, wind is a tennis player's worst nightmare. So
with the weather, if you can't play outside, are you allowed to move it inside somewhere, or I don't know how that works.
If you got the facilities, we don't. I mean, we play a lot in the gym. I've been using the intermediate gym at Waverly since 2008. And we have to use it a lot in the spring because the weather's terrible, and we can't even mock up a actual length of a court in there. So it's just we work a lot of net stuff, serve in there, but I mean. We joke about it, but we say that the gym wins championships because our team consistently is pretty good around the net area, and that's kind of how it's been our MO for a while. So
yeah, I know I've played over the last couple of years. Pickleball's become huge, and there were nights in the spring where we were playing at what's the facility Chillicothe has
the CAC or whatever.
Chillicothe Athletic Center, and they'd say pickleball's canceled tonight because tennis has moved inside. So if you have a facility, you can still get your matches in.
Yeah.
If you have that.
But speaking of facilities, Coach, does now, like in the SOC, does every school have courts there, like on campus, or Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people have 3 courts. Matches take a little longer.
Right.
What's the ideal number?
I mean, 5 would be ideal.
Okay.
But 5 is great for time, but as far as trying to get
How do you
an
do
idea
that
for
as a
what's
coach?
going on, I mean, 3 or 4 courts to me is better.
I know there was a couple years ago I went down to, I think it was Portsmouth that has the sectional or whatever, and it was strange because I'm like, they were playing in 2 different locations down there, and I'm like, how are you going to coach if I've got a kid playing down here? And so that's probably like what you're talking about. If you're playing 5 courts at a time, like, you're just moving from one court to
It's hard
another.
to get a feel for what's going on in this kid's match or this
Right.
kid's match.
Right.
Yeah.
So you say you have 2 weeks left in the regular season, right?
Yeah.
And then, so talk to us a little bit about how league play works in tennis. Do you play everyone twice? You play just one round? How does that work?
Yeah, we play everybody twice. We have two sections of the SOC in our SOC. We're in there with Wheelersburg, Minford West. On the other side of the SOC, Clay, New Boston, East, Notre Dame. The last few years they've had a team, some years, some teams not.
Gotcha.
But as far as we play that side of the SOC one time.
Gotcha.
We play everybody else twice, and then then we have an SOC tournament as well, which is kind of how we pick our all-star
league.
team, I guess you could say.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat too because it works out the week before sectional, so we kind of get a feel for the tournament before the sectional tournament. So you're already getting the tournament.
Kind of tournament warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Talk to us a little bit about the makeup of your team this year.
We have three seniors. We have a sophomore, Carson Nybert, playing number 1 for us. Number 2 singles is Sam Walsh. She'll be in the second. 3 singles for us right now is Cade Carroll, the other guy that'll be in here. They played mainly over the years, played a lot of doubles together. They went qualified for districts last year. They won the league championship last year.
Those 2 guys playing together did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've had a lot of success together, and now Cade, we joke that he's been freed up to play singles a little bit. He's playing really well for us, and we've got a couple sophomores, but we're a small team. We only have 9 players, so most of the teams we play have bigger teams than we do.
So you mentioned he's been freed up to play singles. When the tournament comes, is that something that they'll go do on their own, or will they pair back up and try to make a state run as a doubles partner?
Yeah, we'll probably throw them together and see what can happen there. Yeah, and then you gotta eventually, what happens is if you do that, you pull singles players out of singles to play doubles. Well, then your doubles guys got to go play singles and
break it up, and they have to go back up. Yeah,
it's not ideal.
Yeah, that's tough as a coach to have to.
It is
to make those decisions.
It is.
But is that something you kind of talk about before the season starts with your guys? Just say,
all the
hey,
time. Yeah.
here's what I'm looking at, and
Yeah.
it could change as the season goes. If those guys, start playing really well,
Right.
and then it could change.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of just like anything else. You just get a feel for it as the regular season plays out, and then you set your final rosters as the tournament approaches. Just two divisions in tennis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how does that – is it sectional, district, state, or how's that broken up
Sectional, district, state.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. So
districts down, they at OU, Athens. Okay.
As far as I know.
And where is the state now? I know it used to be there across from like Kings Island, right? At one point, that's where they would play. And
that's an awesome complex.
yeah, I went to that a few times to watch the state. And where is it now? Is it in Cincinnati? Like
it used to be at OSU, then they moved it to Cincinnati, and then they moved it back to OSU, and then the last 2 years they played it at Worcester.
Oh, okay.
whoa,
Which is way up there.
Make you drive a little bit longer to.
Yeah, we
get
had to go.
Worcester.
My daughter plays on the girls team, qualified for state last year, and we had to go up to Worcester and play. So that's a long way up there.
it is. Well, Coach, obviously appreciate you coming in. Waverly tennis is, it's the best around in my opinion. You always hear about Waverly tennis and people making, runs this state, and your program's outstanding. And you've been there for a long time, and it was really cool to be able to have you come in here and talk about it and get to meet you. And looking forward to talking to your players. So best of luck the rest of the way, and appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Coach.
All right, welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Show, sponsored by Haynes Total Healthcare. We're now joined by senior tennis players Sam Walsh and Cade Carroll. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Senior night match tonight. Kind of talk a little bit about that, and just kind of talk about how quickly senior night came for you guys, and kind of ending your high school careers.
It just flew here. Like, I kind of woke up this morning and I realized this is gonna be like one of my last times playing at this court, and so kind of got to soak it in a little bit more. Played tonight with my little brother, so that was something I really got to enjoy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, for me, I know it came fast, but I've been telling. I know Coach Morrison's told me I feel like you've been around here for 12 years already, and it's true. I've played since I was in like the 6th grade, so even though I've only been on the high school team for 4 years, I've been around for 6 or 7 now.
So at Waverly, tennis is obviously a huge thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys have that in junior high? How does that work?
We don't have a formal team or anything. We just kind of come out to summer practices. Yeah. I mean, he came to some summer stuff even before high school. I came to a lot of summer stuff before high school. So that way we kind of come in and we already know what we're doing. Yeah. And then we can start playing matches and get some experience.
So you played all 4 years of high school as well?
Yeah.
Both of you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the things like in the summer when you get, because let's face it, tennis isn't something that everyone just runs out and can play. I mean, it's a very difficult sport. It's probably why not very many people do it. Yeah. How does that kind of, in basketball you can have open gym, soccer you have open fields. How does that work for tennis when you get people coming to play that maybe never have played before?
It's kind of the same way as basketball having open gym. It's just an open court. Anybody can come up. If you don't have a racket, we'll find you one, and we'll start teaching you the basics. Just like how you learn to shoot a ball and hit a layup. Mm-hmm. We'll teach you how to hit a forehand, teach you how to hit a backhand, get it to a point where you can play a little bit, and then kind of get some in-game experience, because I think that's really the only way to get better.
Yeah, I got a funny tennis story. Like, let's see, I know it's been 17 years because my grandpa is 40 years older than me, and he played tennis forever. Yeah. And I can remember I was sitting at home one day, and I was 30 years old, and he calls me. He says, "What are you doing, Hoops?" And I'm like, "Nothing." It was the summer. He's like, "Let's go play some tennis over at OUC." And I'm like, all right. Like, I was going to go hit tennis balls with my grandpa. He's 70. I'm 30. How hard could this be? And we go over there, and we're volleying back and forth, and how much longer can we actually do this before he says, "Let's play"? And it wasn't much longer. And he's like, "All right, I think you got the hang of it. Let's play." So we start playing. I didn't score a point.
Really?
He's 70. Yeah. I don't think he moved. Right or left. He just moved me wherever he wanted me. Yeah. But so I think that the game of tennis is, if you pick it up early enough, it's something that you can play throughout. Way into your older years. But I'm telling you, my grandpa Neil, we played to 6, and I didn't score. Yeah. Love every time. It was bad. Bad.
Oh yeah. So we had a previous coach called Dave McDonough. He was here before we got here.
Long before our time, but
yeah, his serve. I mean, he throws it up, hits it right in front of him, and it just glides right over the net, hits it, and just stays low.
Yeah, it's really low. I mean, you don't work your shoulder or anything in it. You just
it's called Morrison called it the old man serve.
Yeah, he always calls it the old man racket club serve.
Yeah.
Grandpa Neil had it. I guarantee you he had it. Yeah. He'd hit that thing. He'd be all stiff, bang, hit it over, and
and it's hard to return.
Yeah, nothing to do with returning it. So. So looking forward, we was just talking with Coach, couple weeks left. Mm-hmm. Kind of what's your mindset over these next couple weeks headed in to, tournament play and ending up the regular season?
I mean, closing out the league is probably our biggest thing right now.
Yeah, take the league again. That's always the first step, win the conference tournament.
Yeah, and by the time tournaments comes around, just get back into our usual groove of playing together and trying to shut it out as quickly as we can and look forward to the next tournament.
I gotcha. So
we talked to Coach earlier about you guys right now are playing singles, right? Both of you are playing singles, but potentially could be teamed up doubles come tournament time, right?
Yeah.
How's that? I mean, is that a difficult adjustment, or
I don't think so. I mean, we've played for
I think
a
it
long
is
time.
only if you like never played with that person before.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, yeah, it's not as bad.
So have you guys always played doubles together?
We started out our freshman year playing, then I got moved with somebody else. Kind of switched out a little bit our sophomore year with each other. Then junior year, same thing. And this year we've probably played with each other twice now.
Yeah, a couple times.
But throughout the tournaments, we've always played with each other.
Gotcha. So this will be 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
In the tournament. Qualified for the district how many times? Once. Last year?
Once as doubles team, yeah.
Okay.
Last year.
You guys mentioned the league, and how many in a row will this be?
This will be our second time winning it, like winning the doubles 8th time, or is it 9th?
As a team, yeah, 8, I think.
8 as a team.
Dynasty.
Yep.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive. Coach mentioned just a minute ago, you guys only have 9 players on the team. Talked about a sophomore playing number one singles for you guys. How do you guys, with so few, obviously there's a lot of interaction between you guys and everyone else on the team. How do you guys kind of approach that, and how have you approached it as you came through the program, and now how are you approaching it as you're a senior on your way out of the program?
The team's really close. Yeah. I'll say that. Like, the guys that we have, we never have any drama. We all just go out and play tennis.
Yeah.
There's probably not very many, if any, days that I walk in, I'm like, I don't want to go to practice today.
Right.
This is going to be long and tough, and we get along, and we have a good time, and we win.
Yeah, winning helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It helps a lot.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, tough practice. Like, kind of paint a picture for someone that doesn't really know a lot about tennis. What a tough practice would be like in tennis. How long is the practice? How much running is it? Like, what's a tough tennis practice?
Our toughest practices are right before the season starts, probably. I mean, get there, you do your warm-up stuff, hit a few balls with somebody across from you, then you go straight into challenge matches with somebody. And
what's that mean? Explain that to us.
So the way we get to where we have our lineup built is we do challenge matches. You're going to play everybody at some point. You're going to play singles. You're going to play doubles. And just whoever wins the most matches, it's your number one right there. And kind of see where everybody else trickles down to. And so, those, you can play one match in a day if it takes forever. You can play 2. You can even play 3, just depending on how good you are.
Yeah.
Well, what about from a conditioning standpoint? Is just playing enough to get you in tennis shape? How does that work?
I mean, I've played 3 sports, so I'm always in decent good shape. But I never feel exhausted after a day of practice.
So coming out of basketball into tennis, you feel good.
I feel fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of people too that play other sports. So I mean, maybe they play football in this fall, or like I used to run cross country. So we're generally in decent shape when season comes.
So that's
around.
not something coach necessarily has to focus on, is getting you guys in shape,
No,
because
we just
multi-sport
kinda focus on
athlete, you're kind of
tennis
already
skills.
there.
Yeah.
Say our most conditioning is our warm up. We do 2 laps, then we go around the courts a few times doing different stretches, and then we go play.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What's each of you? What's been your best memory from your 4 years of playing tennis so far?
Probably winning the league last year is up there for me. Or just going on to play at the courts at OU. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say it's the tournaments. Just to go down to Portsmouth for sectionals and have a solid day of tennis. I mean, it can feel long sometimes, especially if you're you've got a big gap between matches or something. But just to sit down there and watch the other teams that you might play later,
right? And just kind of the atmosphere and the feeling of it all.
Yeah.
Tournament atmosphere.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a day off school. It's like we'll do it on a Monday.
Yeah.
So you just take a day and you go play and watch tennis.
That's cool. Yeah.
No, I've went to, we had a girls tennis player a few years back, Sylvia Gray, and I would actually went and watched her a couple times, and I just thought the state tennis tournament I thought was a really cool environment, a really cool experience. You know what I mean? Just the atmosphere, and it's just super neat.
Yeah, I went up and watched. I think it was 2 years ago now. Went up and watched Caden and Cam when they went as a doubles team, and it's a pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Tell the people out there who officiates a tennis match.
It's ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
I think when you go to state, you can ask for a line judge. Is that, if I'm not mistaken?
I think only if it's really necessary. Even if you're having disagreements.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I learned that up there because I'm up there watching. I'm looking around who's who's the referee or
Yeah,
the
like
judge
where's
or
the
whatever.
chair?
They're like,
Where's the chair? Like you see on
there's-
Wimbledon.
now you
really
call
not
you
much.
call your own until there's like some issues, and then they
Yeah.
might bring someone in or something.
Yeah.
And like at least around here, we've never really had that. It's a pretty agreeable thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have like a controversial call that was close, but you know, you gotta get past the display.
I mean, that's a lot, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
when you're talking, 15, 16, 17-year-old
Yeah,
kids, and
who's
you're really
competitive.
in charge of your own.
You know, that's I think that's a testament to the type of character that you have to have to do that. Because like if it's out and it's close, I mean, that's on you, man. You're the ones that got to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day. And so I just thought that was a really unique thing when I found out that there really aren't tennis umpires, or I think that's the right. Is that the right word?
Line judges.
Umpire.
Judges, umpires.
Yeah. Anyway,
They don't exist, so they really don't have a name.
We don't have them. So we don't know.
do you guys have the people like that run and chase the balls down for
No,
you?
that's-
Don't get that.
That would be nice.
You gotta go find them.
You mean they don't bounce them to you and you get to throw it back
So
if
we
you don't
have
like
we
it?
have the bus garage right behind our tennis courts,
Oh,
and like
gosh.
tonight, we lost one of the buses. So
I've
you
lost
just,
a good
you just
amount
don't get
back
it back.
So you're telling me like a kindergartner's going to find a ball maybe in the
If they're back there,
Probably a bus driver. I'll throw it over the fence.
I don't know
A few
what
months down the
kindergarten
road,
back
but yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's been really cool to talk a little bit of a different sport with you guys. I really respect your guys' program down there. I appreciate you coming in, and wish you guys the best of luck with your tennis season and whatever the future holds for you guys as you graduate high school and move out into the real world. So thanks for coming by, guys.
Thanks for
I
having us.
appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, welcome back to the Sosa Coaches Show, presented by Haynes Total Healthcare. Appreciate Coach Jeff Miller filling in for Jeran tonight. Obviously, Christian running things smoothly for us. I thought it was kind of a unique show tonight.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I mean, it just a couple sports that probably don't get a ton of publicity, but just interesting to hear, how they run things, how the programs run, and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool. I didn't know a whole lot about how a tennis match ran. Obviously talking to Coach Morrison a little bit off air, just listening to him talk, and I didn't realize he'd been there for that long.
yeah,
I mean, you hear
it's a
about
long
labor.
time, no matter
No matter-
what sport you're coaching.
That's a long time, and obviously, they say 8 or 9
Yeah.
SOCs in a row, which I'm sure there's a lot more than that over the last 30 years. But and then the lacrosse deal, just listening to those girls, you know, kind of have the courage to try something new. Coach Scarberry for basically taking a leap of faith and throwing it together for those guys was neat. And hopefully that program will take off. And maybe, you know, some of the schools around here that have a little bit larger enrollment will maybe look into that as well.
Right. I mean, you know, obviously it's got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And like you said, hopefully the fact that you know, Yunyota has started one that we'll see, you know, a courthouse, a Circleville, schools
possibly
that size.
Like Miami Trace is growing.
You know, be able to throw something together. And,
So, well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. You know, hard to believe that we're at the halfway point of the baseball, softball season. So we'll kind of continue to follow that as it goes. We'd love to get some track athletes and coaches in here maybe over the next couple of weeks to see if, you know, we can talk to those guys. It's just always a catch 22 on who we can get in here and win because of the way spring sports is set up. But, you know, again, I felt like it was a really good show tonight, unique show. Appreciate you for filling in, Coach Miller.
Thanks for having me.
And obviously, Christian, outstanding job as always. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.